Twickenham was not England's happy place last week. Scotland went homeward with the Calcutta Cup wrapped tightly in tartan. Scotland's first championship win against England in this stadium since 1983. And it's very much an icy Twickenham, and the first match of round 2 of the 2021 Guinness Six Nations. England against Italy, Scotland, Wales up straight after this one. And then tomorrow, Ireland romance France in Dublin on Valentine's Day. And France topped the table after their romp in Rome, 7 tries in the eternal city of eternal defeat. For Italy, Scotland and Wales can also win the Grand Slam after wins against England and Ireland respectively. And that's the trophy they are all playing for. For Italy, perhaps it's more about avoiding yet another wooden spoon, and a very tough task and ask for the Italians this afternoon here at Twickenham, where they have never won in the Six Nations. It's 28 successive losses now for Italy in the Guinness Six Nations. Their last victory was 6 years ago up in Edinburgh, just 1 match point since then, and another 7 tries shipped last week against France in Rome. But coach Franco Smith is missing several star men like Jake Pelledri, Bram Steen and the score told a familiar story, 50 points to 10 to France. Well, last weekend, of course, England lost the Calcutta Cup and failed to score a point in the second half. Scotland winning at Twickenham for the first time in 38 years. In fact, England's last 2 games at HQ have been huffing, puffing displays with not that much product. England did win the Autumn Cup here, but it was a French second, third string that they beat in the final. And they took an extra time golden point from Owen Farrell to secure it. France led that game 19-12 with a minute to go, and then Luke Cowan-Dickie, who starts today, scored from a driving maul. So are England vulnerable right now, even against the forever minnows Italy? Well, it would be quite a shock if the Azzurri were to beat England for the first time in their history today. Well, the anthem soon, but first, rugby continues to drive its message of support for the fight against racism, and will continue to do so throughout the Guinness Six Nations. And also a moment's reflection after the sad passing of 2 former English internationals, former Bath and England lock Dave Edgerton, 7 caps. He also played for the British and Irish Lions against France in 1989 and was a pundit with Radio Bristol. And reflection too following the death of Phil Horrocks-Taylor, the former Leicester, England and Lions out half.
Please be upstanding for the national anthem of Italy.
Well, England bring in a new front row. Vunipola, Cowan-Dickie and Sinclair. Maro Itoje and Johnny Hill continue in the second row, and Courtney Laws replaces Mark Wilson in the back row. Scotland scored their only try while Billy Vunipola was in the bin. In the backs, George Ford returns. Captain Owen Farrell slips out to 12. Ori Lawrence disappears from the 23, and it's the same back three. Johnny May hoping to add to his 31 tries, largely unemployed last week. Franco Smith's Italian selection, one change up front with Andrea Lavotti coming into the front row. Lavotti, one of the more experienced members of this young squad, winning his 44th cap. Number 8, Michele Lamaro, played effectively in Rome. In the backs, Marco Zanon is injured, so Carlo Canna comes in as a second playmaker, and Ignacio Brex moves from inside to outside centre. Canna wins his 49th cap, a lot of those at out half. And the replacements, a 6-2 split on the England bench. Eddie Jones' bomb squad, including turnover maestro Jack Willis. Thomas O'Allen brings a lot of experience to the Italian bench. In Italy, well, they've lost their last 28 Six Nations games, so England should win. Initial thoughts of former Lion and England international Dowie Morris.
Yeah, cheers, Robbo. Well, Italy will not win today, but they must start to win the hearts and minds of rugby fans, ex-players and officials, that this young side can eventually turn it around. England, on the other hand, don't seem to care too much what the fans and etc. think. It's win at all costs, but this lack of style is costing them crucial losses. Oh well, onwards and upwards, Eddie, but please, not upwards all the time.
Okay, England.
The referee is Mike Adamson, the former Glasgow out half, his first ever Six Nations game. Mike's the first Scot to handle a Six Nations match since Rob Dixon. Ireland against Italy 19 years ago. Italy kick off, and Itoje already fumbling the ball for England. And they'll be looking to make a fast start after the debacle against Scotland a week ago here at Twickenham. It's Ben Youngs in his 106th international now. Looks to the skies. Ben Youngs, who scored 2 tries against the Italians in his 100th international, scored those 2 tries and won the Player of the Match award as well. Stephen Varney. And now it's Sperandio, scored a fine try against the French last week in Rome. Little chip over the top and gather and score. And Varney once more knock on by England. It's going to be the advantage here to the Italians. Scrum down coming their way should they need it. Varney gets it out to David Ceci, the German-born, Italian qualified second row forward, and Dowie Morris. Pretty frenetic start, physical start, and England trying to force things.
Very good start from Italy a week ago. Out in Rome, they kicked right down the middle from the restart, which enabled France and De Jalivet to hit them back bit past the halfway, but it was a much better chase. That penalty was given for a deliberate knockdown. It's a little bit harsh. You can see Courtney Laws trying to wrap around the tackle of the scrum half. Get Varney in the tackle. It's gone forward from his hands. So it's, yeah, good start from Italy. England having to defend pretty well. Let's see what they do with this line-out.
Well, England took a hammering from the evil media and former internationals during the week. Phrases like England lack attacking intuition and anti-rugby philosophy. England play in a stifling tactical cul-de-sac, heads down, not heads up rugby, and the Italians looking to play heads up rugby themselves in this first couple of minutes at Twickenham. Support from Riccioni. And there's an offside here. This is what England did against Scotland. They gave away a whole raft of penalties in the opening few minutes. And that's their second one already. And there's a chance at the outside for Mondiani. Oh, what a blistering beginning by the Italians. And it's the lightning fast Mondiani on the end of it. The Italians showed all that intent. Not much product last week, but oh so different here in London.
Well, he had one disallowed last week when Varney made a break at the same side in Rome. This time they were playing a shot to nothing. It was advantage from Italy. Look at the pace that's coming off that ball. Able to zip this ball out. Here it goes. A lovely, just a miss-out pass. And England, you've got to say, all at sea. Absolutely incredible start from Italy. Garbisi straight across there. Ioane not stopping him from there. England at 6s and 7s. And what a brilliant try from Italy. They've come here to play with this young side. That's evident. And they couldn't have dreamt when they woke up this morning of a better start.
Roman, can you just have a word of the back foot? Just make sure. I think it was number 4.
Well, look at the face on Eddie Jones. Last week against Scotland, well, England, they gave away 5 penalties in the first 11 minutes, 7 penalties in the first 17, 2 penalties here in the first 3 minutes, Darry.
All mostly by forwards as well, wasn't it? But that was great. What they did in Rome. Italy started like this against France, but unfortunately after 5 or 6 phases they just coughed the ball up. They've got to concentrate. If they keep hold of the ball, England are in a heck of a match.
It's the 20-year-old law student, Paulo Garbisi. Owen Farrell is his hero, so big moment for Garbisi to play against Farrell. Not quite from Garbisi, who's already had a victory against England while playing for the Italian under-18 side. And there's Mondi Ioane, the nephew of the former Wallaby winger Digby Ioane, doing what Uncle Digby used to do for the Wallabies. George Ford brought into 10, Owen Farrell starting in that position last week. See if the Italians can build on this early lead and stay composed, put England under pressure. Varney, Welsh-born, Welsh speaker from Carmarthen, but Italian qualified. Stephen Lorenzi Varney, so you can see the Italian descendancy through the middle name.
Dear, you're digging yourself in there, Robbo, but again, not a bad exit from Italy. You can see their first intent, get the ball back to their playmakers, but England have got it in the back of the van now with Cowan-Dickie in charge.
Okay.
Prolific try scorer for England, Luke Cowan-Dickie, finding Maro Itoje, who perhaps looked the sharpest of the Saracens players last week. A little bit rusty, these Saracens men. Another one is Elliot Daly, and that was a slightly rusty-looking pass. Remember, of course, these Saracens players haven't played a lot of rugby because Saracens are relegated to the Championship due to breaching salary regulations. So 2 months without a game for the Saracens men after the Autumn Nations Cup final up to that Scotland game.
Yeah, but that was a shocking pass. I mean, England's intent was great there, getting the ball out of the line. A few decoy runners trying to get the ball wide to Johnny May. But, I mean, that was forward for a start and dreadful.
Luca Bigi, the captain. Nice little line-out feed and finds Lazzaroni. Johnny May made a couple of bad mistakes last week, dropped a couple of high balls. It's pretty cold out there today, so you'll have rather frosty fingers. It's a -5, -6 wind chill. But good intent here from England, keeping the ball in hand. Ben Youngs, Mako Vunipola back after an Achilles injury, and Henry Slade. There's space on the outside for Elliot Daly, and now Johnny May. 31 tries for England, equal with Will Greenwood and Ben Cohen. Mako Vunipola really does add to England's carrying game. George Ford. It's a lot of tempo here from England. Saw so little of this last week against Scotland. In fact, virtually none at all. Johnny May pops up in midfield, roaming around the green swords of London. Billy Vunipola, and the whistle's going to go. Mike Adamson playing an offside advantage to England, and some decent handling skills as England try to respond to that early shot. And Ben Youngs goes quickly. Is there space for Youngs through the middle? Good challenge, good tackle by Lavotti. Kyle Sinclair feeds it on. England tipping it on, trying to keep the ball alive here. You can see what they're doing. It's a different tactical approach altogether. Luke Cowan-Dickie not releasing, says Mike Adamson, and now it's Italy's turn to give away multiple penalty offences.
Well, you can see that the criticism in the press, ex-players, whatever, fans have spurred England into greater things. I think they moved the ball more in the first, 7 minutes than they did in all that game against Scotland. Scotland superb last Saturday. England trying to sort of replicate that in a sense. I think they'll go for 3. Brecht was out of the line. You can see Youngs was trying to tap it up, keep the momentum up, keep the pace up, and that's where England will be at its best.
But on that occasion, you're always illegal when you've slowed the ball down.
Got to remember as well that this England side here are playing what is basically a Benetton Zebra Barbarians. And if you follow the Pro 14, the Benetton and Zebra sides between them have 3 wins from 21 matches. 2 of those were Italian derbies when they beat each other. Zebra won both of those, actually. So in 21 matches, just 1 win in reality against anybody except themselves when Zebra beat the Ospreys. Benetton have lost all 10 of their league games this season. So that gives you a perspective as to what England are actually up against today. Farrell is 25 points away from 1,000 for England, make that 22.
Jones looks on. Penny, for your thoughts. Again, bitterly disappointed. Held his hands up last week, but he's been holding his hands up a few times with England's inability to play some rugby. And that's basically what they didn't do, and they haven't been doing. That's what they got caught short, really, in the World Cup. And they nearly lost the Autumn Nations Cup. Lost last week to Scotland. So, yeah, get the ball in the hands. Let it sing a little. Give it a little bit of air. We've got the talent on show. We've got a plethora of players that he could pick. He's gone with most of the old stages. He's changed a few. Right, give him the heads. Give him a game.
Poor restart from Paulo Garbisi. Yeah, the coach of the Super Bowl winners, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Bruce Arians, has a mantra: no risk it, no biscuit. Will England risk it for a biscuit today, Dowie? Should they?
I should hope so. Where you get your information from, quotes, but they are brilliant. Anyway, interesting. Italy's first scrum last week was after a lot longer than this. New prop, unfortunately. Rampelli went down, they gave a penalty away, so this is a very interesting aspect. And Rampelli, who was a youngster brought in at the last minute for Torreira, was off after 31 minutes because he couldn't really handle it. So we will see what happens. A key area to the game. There's less and less scrums coming in, more and more lineouts, but in a fast and furious game you are going to see this ball knocked on. More scrums.
Franco Smith actually took off both props after 31 minutes last week. Riccioni went as well. Lavotti in the loose head shirt, much more experienced. Lavotti, who picked up a red card in the World Cup match against South Africa for a tip tackle on Duane Vermeulen. He was assisted in that tip by Nicola Quaglio. They both got suspended with 44 caps to his name. There's Stephen Varney, still a teenager, the Gloucester player who went to Hartbury College. Great production line of players have come through there.
He's only 19 and he did stand up last hour. They were well taken by France, but they've got to invest in players like this.
Ben Youngs, good stable scrummage, and now it's George Ford for Henry Slade, threads it through for Johnny May. Was that a knock-on? No, says the referee. George Ford sweeps in and gathers up the ball. Here is Itoje, gets a latch on from Curry. So close to the line, just short. Going to make the right decisions here, England. George Ford, did he make the line himself? Stopped by a wall of blue. Here goes Luke Cowan-Dickie. Remember that great try-scoring record for England. And now it's Owen Farrell. Feeds it back into Itoje. Luke Cowan-Dickie gets away from one tackle. That's Mayer, comes in with the assist. Johan Mayer, South African-born flanker for the Italians. Billy Vunipola adds the heft and weight. The bulldozing from Vunipola. George Ford, it's a wild pass, but Johnny May's there. He can stand players up and beat them. We've seen it many times before for England, but the advantage was being played for the high tackle to England. And Italians feeling the strain under pressure because the penalty count is beginning to mount.
Well, it's fast and furious for England, but it's controlled in a sense. They kick the ball away in a sense, but it was a very intelligent kick. There was no way that ball was going to come to this left-hand touchline. So chip it through, put the pressure on Italy, which happened. The bounce of the ball put them under pressure. They retained the ball back, and now they're going to go for Cowan-Dickie. He does this at Exeter and normally scores.
Well, Exeter Chiefs are brilliant at this when they're close to the line. And one of the vanguards, the arrowhead, is often Luke Cowan-Dickie in those situations. And Italy will do well to survive this, because England have a very, very powerful set of forwards. Mike Adamson looks very closely as that ball touched down over the line. Still not quite yet this time. Billy Vunipola now, he heaves that massive body weight towards the Italy in goal area. Good defence by the Italians. Give them credit for that. Luke Cowan-Dickie can't get there. Ben Youngs at May to his left. Kyle Sinclair now. He gets a shoulders assistance from Vunipola. Over this time, Mike Adamson looks again, and he says yes this time. My heavens, did England do some pounding on that Azzurri line there.
If it's clear, for me I saw a good view that the ball was on the line.
I think it's Hill, isn't it?
No, for me it was
Getting
on
the
the
big
line.
Exeter second, Johnny Hill. 20 tackles last week against the Scots, and he's gone over the line this week against the Azzurri. Again, it was sustained pressure, battling pressure. This is this little chip. That's just beautiful from Slade. The bounce of the ball, Johnny May, was that a little touch? Knock on, anyway. They're not going back for that. Luke Cowan-Dickie, the result out, they get a penalty, he goes forward, and then it's just mash, 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 bosh, 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 until eventually the big giraffe from Exeter gets over with a little bit of help. The referee is there, that's a try, and that is sapping the strength out of Italy at the moment.
Thank you. Okay.
Big moment for big Johnny Hill. He certainly is big, 6'7". Owen Farrell, he's actually passed 1,000 points when you include his Lions test totals. But wants to reach the magic 1,000. Johnny Wilkinson already there. Remember, Italy 28 consecutive losses in the Six Nations, only 2 of those within 10 points. Attempted charge down, bit of pressure put on Farrell there.
You've got to say that's intent. Fair dues to Ioane and Trula. I mean, they really did sprint off the line and put him off. You can say what you want, that was a bad kick, because he was put off by the speed of these two just running up in his peripheral vision. That left eye must have caught them. We're losing a prop. We've got a prop back on. There's a bit of blood, I think. Nothing more serious than a bit of blood.
Timing.
Yeah, Zalocki has come on. There's a temporary replacement. Garbisi with the restart. This one stays very much in play, and it's George Ford. Yet again, England running the ball in every opportunity here.
Hallelujah.
George Ford, Owen Farrell. I think Henry Slade's touched the ball more in this game than he did in the entire Scotland match. He's at 2 effective touches as well, Henry Slade. And we've seen how well he can play in that shirt, 13, or indeed out half a fullback for the Exeter Chiefs. He's a pretty versatile individual. Here's Lavotti. Little tip on, but it's in behind Trula. Back there goes Barbisi, but immediately hit hard by those England defenders. So Italy made that fabulous start to the Monty Ioane try, are now very much pinned in their own half.
Stay onside.
Stephen Varney.
Okay, now use it.
Great move against the French that involved Varney. The pass to Ioane was just slightly forward. Ioane would have been in there as well. In Rome last week, Elliot Daly, George Ford, Johnny May. Good defence by Italy. Got to stop May early. Can't let him get into his stride. Here's Luke Cowan-Dickie, seen a lot of the ball as well. The strip comes in from the Italians, but Owen Farrell does well to retain the ball for England. Ben Youngs, George Ford pulls it back for Henry Slade. Lovely delivery. And here is Anthony Watson, Lion in New Zealand, 3 tests. Fabulous runner, and he's given it away. The Italians will be relieved just to get their hands back on the ball here. Was Monty Ioane initially in possession. and they get the penalty. So after receiving a bit of a pummeling from England, an opportunity now to put the ball closer to England's line.
Great intent from England, good defence from Italy. Message to Franco Smith, don't put Lavetti as a first receiver. That was just hit by Tom Curry and able to dislodge the ball. That's what put Italy into the initial pressure, and then it comes out and they're getting the ball through the hands. Okay, absolutely superb there, just taking people on, which is what you want to see. The biggest criticism about England is that they kick first and think second, and that plan B, well, you know, we want to see England have a plan B. We know that if you don't play the rugby and kick the ball, you're going to win more games than you lose. That's statistically proven. Well, let's try a different way against a sort of a weak Italian side, but who are very passionate, skillful. But like I said, we've seen a lot more rugby played this week from England than we did in the whole 80 minutes against Scotland.
Remember last week, Owen Farrell had 2 clear overlaps, one a 7-on-3 and kicked both times. But today, a totally different approach from England, who are moving the ball. Taken on by Carlo Canna, second playmaker today, another penalty given away by England. Last week against Scotland, 15 penalties conceded, 14 of them conceded by the forwards.
Yeah, and that's it. That's because they were getting so frustrated. And they just can't keep their hands out of the cookie pot. That's Canna. I like to see him in there because it's a very young back line. That's a very young back line. You know, even younger last week without him. He came on eventually, but he just adds a little bit of glue in that midfield, a little bit of cement. Kawinduki looks up to the skies, but again, it's a calming period for Italy. They will kick this. Gabrici should collect another 3 points and 8-8. Again, tremendous first quarter. We like to build it into quarters to halves, the 3 quarters to final, but it's been an exhilarating first 20 for both sides.
10 penalties conceded by England first. Just after the first quarter, they were 10 penalties down. There's Gabrici, 2 from 2 against France. Only made his Pro 14 debut in August of 2020. That's how little experience that young man has. But Franco Smith is showing his trust in those very youthful halfbacks.
Yeah, England got the ball in their hands, something they didn't have last week. What was it, just 38% possession? I'm sorry, I'm stuttering. It's blooming freezing. It's colder than a polar bear's pocket, I can assure you that. But yeah, already they have had the ball in their hands, which is nice to see from an English perspective.
Well, 38% possession last week, but they still managed 35 kicks from hand. And if you remember the last Six Nations game against Italy, England kicked the ball from open play 46 times.
Well, that frustrated me last week, as we see a penalty given right on the 10-metre. He said Eddie Jones was asked, oh man, we couldn't get any possession. Well, you couldn't get any possession because you kicked everything away. So, you know, this, what a difference 7 days makes. Going to the corner. Sorry, Robert, going to the corner instead of that was, again, it's an easy 3 points for England, but they've built this momentum. They're keeping the pace up. Let's see what happens from here.
Well, England losing to Scotland last week. Remember, they lost in round 1. Points difference. Ben Youngs, oh, poor pass inside, and goes a long way forward as Sebastian Negri falls on the ball for Italy. So a little bit less accuracy that time, a lot less accuracy that time.
Didn't see it.
You saw Canna there struggling with his kick away, gave England the impetus with Staley into the corner. But again, if you turn your 3 points down and you go for the power play, really, you've got to do better than that. Youngs knows it. Opportunity now for Italy to scrimmage, clear the lines to exit. Line breaks already, England 3. Well, they didn't make one last week, did they, Mr. Stato, over there? I
didn't think so. One line break last week.
Carries 38, a lot of ball in hand against Italy, a lot of meters made, 207. Again, nice to see if you're a white supporter. But again, if you're a blue supporter, get it in, get it out, get it down the paddock.
Former Scotland captain John Barclay said on a podcast on Monday that the Scots were disappointed last week because they allowed England a losing bonus point.
Let's go, let's go.
Yeah. There's a long way to go. We know that England lost the first game against France, didn't they?
the ball in hand 93% of the time, and that's what I was talking about in terms of the intent we saw from the Italians last week.
Absolutely, and that was tremendous intent there from Varney, a very inexperienced young lad starting on his journey through the international wilderness in a sense. That was great. It was a great scrum from his front 8. The call was made to the right-hand side for the number 8.
Look, I clearly put your gap here.
Lamara, and then straight down the paddock and over the halfway line. You couldn't want any more, so they can do the nuts and bolts. They can do the flashy stuff. They like to offload. It's whether they can stay for the full 80 minutes.
Yeah, it was 10-5 at half-time in the Six Nations last year. England went on to score 5 tries and win quite comfortably. So, yeah, it is. Staying in the fight for the 80 minutes is usually the Italian problem.
That's when Paul Edridge scored that wonder try, didn't he? That sort of bottom corner there, fantastic. He's injured.
Youngs with the box kick. Luca Bisi helps to make the ball available for Stephen Varney, taken on by Sebastian Negri, the Zimbabwean-born flanker, on his 30th appearance for Italy. Varney gets it back to Garbisi. Billy Vunipola stationed deep for England. Poor pass really at Daly, but it bounces well. Little skip ball. Daly looks sharp and full of running and quick. As does Anthony Watson, who's getting more involved in the game as well. Slade on the chase after that bubbling pill.
So number 18's coming off.
Just listening to the referee there. Again, it was mistakes all over the place. An exciting game. They're trying to play with pace.
Got 22 just now.
It's nice to see Anthony Watson with the ball in hand. I think it was the 65th minute till he had the ball in his hand last week. And he just can't afford to have someone with his talent and his pace without the ball in his hand, if you see what I mean. But both sides played superbly well.
Kicked over by White and grounded by Blake.
Exciting game, because when you do play like this, as Franco Smith knows, you are going to make mistakes. Keeping hold of the pill. England are appealing for penalties, but they're not good communication from the referee, Mike Adamson, the TMO.
I wouldn't see it
Joe
that way.
Neville.
I wouldn't see it that way. Just make sure he keeps 2 feet on the ground as well then. Yeah. Okay,
Owen Farrell having a chat with the referees. He likes to, he's allowed to, he's captain.
No, didn't see that. No.
Made for the TMO. Quite hang on, there's an injury, and the medics. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 water carriers stroke medics on the field at the moment in the Italian 22.
Is it blood replacement?
Is it David Ceci?
Need a change? Yeah, okay, we need a blood replacement.
Yeah, it's David Ceci. Yeah. He's off for blood replacement. His granddad was Italian, born in Germany, but he played a lot of rugby in England for Bath and Leeds and London Irish, David Ceci, but he's off.
Well, you were commentating at Cardiff last week, weren't you? They were on and off like a fiddler's elbow, these players.
Well, I think there were 5 HIAs in that game, Dowie. In fact, last week there were 13 injuries in the Scotland, Ireland and Wales camps. All those players now missing this week. Hugely attritional tournament this, as the Italians bring on Federico Ruzza for David Ceci off for attention to that blood injury. Garbisi with the restart. George Ford again. Here's Anthony Watson. I think the England wide backs will be enjoying themselves a lot more out there today in these freezing conditions. They're seeing a lot more of the rugby ball. George Ford trying to splice those 2 defenders. Garbisi is back there. Left-footed, remember. Could have done with a right-footed kicker there. And now England got a bit of space through Farrell. Elliot Daly, ball in both hands. Johnny May, lovely tip on to Henry Slade. He's popping up in good positions. Is the England outside centre. Now it's Sinclair, the ball in behind Mauro Itoje, but no knock on. Beautiful by Courtney Laws, Johnny Hill, and here's Watson's going to coast his way through to the line, and that Italian defence was sucked into the vortex by England.
Easy. All you're trying to do is to get a mismatch of 3-on-2 or 4-on-3, and that happened. It happened at the left-hand side because England slipped the ball, they retained it. This comes initially from a bad kick from Italy from Gabrici. He should have put a little bit more on it, got a little bit of grasp at quick hands. That's great from May. There a ball, and then it's all about just recycle. Slade takes it in, and look at this, there's England forwards, they're the decoy, they go across 3 England forwards, the ball goes back into open play. That might be slightly forward, but I don't think the TMO is going to be called for that. And then it's just a foot race, hands, out of the contact, big, we got big Courtney Laws there, big Johnny Hill, and that boy steps off his right. Good night, nurse.
And Owen Farrell added the extra 2. England's team has averaged 5.6 tries at Twickenham against Italy in the Six Nations. Italy, 21st year of Six Nations rugby, 12 wins in 106 matches.
Yeah, and they hosted them, 10 times now in the Guinness Six Nations, and they averaged 31 points. So that's the sort of hill that Azzurri had to climb. And again, as they're competitive because they're getting hit from every side, with ex-players, Sam Warburton in particular, saying no, they don't deserve to be in the Guinness Six Nations. Well, you know, it's a personal thing, but they've got to improve. They've got to get people on their side, and if they lose games, which they will today, they play some good stuff. You know, there is a future for them.
No number, Clark. Number 3. Number 3, no number, Clark.
Well, Italian rugby is a bit like my chat-up technique, full of romantic intent, but rather ineffective. 5 line breaks already for England in this game, and as you said, Dowie, no line breaks at all against Scotland.
I'd rather talk about line breaks than your love life. But that's, yeah, but that is international rugby. You know, you want kids. This is the try going forward now. It's just a power game, and there's a place for the power game. It's great to see.
Farrell, Johnny May, he gets through this Italian defence again. Some of their defending was pretty weak against the French. They had 4 tries from 4 attempts against Italy, despite all the possession and territory from the Italians in Rome. Whenever the French had a chance, they pounced and scored. The Italians had to work very, very hard for their points in a 50 points to 10 defeat. 7 tries in total for France, 2 from Teddy Thomas. Here's Johnny Hill on to Billy Vunipola, keeping the ball alive again, and that's been a trademark in this first half from England. And it's really beginning to work and really beginning to stretch this Italian side. So much pace and tempo about what England are trying to do here. Into the 22 again, quick ball placement. Here's George Ford, Kyle Sinclair back in the side after suspension, having sworn at a referee while playing for Bristol. That referee was Carl Dixon, who Kyle Sinclair used to play with at Harlequins when Dixon was the scrum half. Sinclair to Hill again. It's great hands by the forwards. Another tip on. So many tips from the big men in white shirts. Great work at the breakdown, and yet again they get a chance to relieve the pressure, and my goodness, the Italians need to relieve the pressure.
Fantastic work, absolutely fantastic work from Italy there. Again, they're biting down on that bit of leather because England are coming fast and furious, using the forwards. And what I like from the scrum half, our old scrum half's point of view is Young's distribution here. Just before this, that's a great pick from Johnny Hill, because he's 8'6", you know, so get over there on the bootlaces is difficult. But look at that, you've got Curry inside, you've got Vunipola outside. He can hit either 1 or 2 or none. He can put the ball out the back. These are the options, and when you're playing with pace, defenses they can't handle it. They simply can't handle it.
Yeah, good turnover by Johan Mayer, the Port Elizabeth born flanker for Italy.
I know, I'll get him back. Yeah.
But it's been an enjoyable 30 minutes, isn't it? You know, you can say Italy have played the part, they scored a super try. They started with great intent. And England have responded, again, by playing rugby. I was getting to the point with, you know, you hear things from your own club mates and children in the backyard, and they want to be Dupont, they want to be Jalibert, they want to be Intimate, they don't want to be Farrell and Youngs at the moment, even though they're English through and through, because we weren't playing any rugby. All of a sudden now, 30 minutes, they'll be back out in the yard wanting to be a Youngs or wanting to be a Farrell, because all of a sudden we've just changed the sort of mindset of the way we want to play.
Well, Avani is off for the Italians, and yet again a first half replacement with prop forward. Franco Smith quite likes to do that, brings on Fischetti. David Ceci is back on. We were told, having changed his number, but we'll confirm that for you.
Stay on the front.
Maro, you got to stay with me, mate.
Stay off the mark.
Yeah,
Italy, all the way in, please.
There's not many people coming on. It's like a market stall.
Well, Cece's wearing 5, I think he is back wearing his original number, so we'll check for you who number 24 is. Here come England again, through Elliot Daly. Yet again, ball in both hands, making defenders think twice, and yet again it's Henry Slade finding himself in that wide channel. Luke Cowan-Dickey for Ben Youngs, and now George Ford looks for a little bit of space in behind Monty Ioane. And out it goes from the England out half.
One of the few mistakes he's made straight away. Again, he poses a much better, more dangerous threat at 10. You know, he's not the biggest of guys, but again, he can just scan this horizon, see what's happening. That wasn't the greatest a kick, but again, he can put pressure now on an Italian line out. But all the way you mentioned Slade there, he's carried 41 metres so far. You know, that's 4 carries. That's great yardage, because he's a super player. 13 is his position at Exeter. You know, Devoto's inside him, and I think 13 is his position for England's best position anyway. I know they'll play anywhere, but he's just a sensational player when he's got the ball in his hand.
Good take of the line out by Lazzaroni, and now the Italians beginning to make progress. Stephen Varney, Luca Bigi. Monty Ioane gets the ball stripped away from his freezing mitts.
As I told you, that is just incredible turnover.
Johnny Hill now for England. Ben Youngs, they're stacked up in white, moving the ball every time they get it. Here's Elliot Daly. He must be hugely enjoying himself out there today. You wonder, with their kick and crush style, if some of those England players in the backline actually enjoy playing for their country at the moment, because they see the ball so rarely. It was minute 63 before Ollie Lawrence touched the ball at all against Scotland last week. This is more like it. Great stuff to watch. Here's George Ford. Henry Slade again. There's a gap there. Here's Johnny May. Good hands for May. Had to really stretch high for that ball.
15 off.
I think Slade's getting a bit carried away now, just sort of thrown him a bouquet, but unfortunately he just didn't need to throw that ball. It takes all the space to Johnny May. They've got to cut back inside. You just want to just either one, take it in yourself, or two, just pass the ball to your nearest and dearest. But again, it's, you know, that's been a little bit critical on what is a transformation of England's style. All about pace. It's been a great start, and Italy have played their part. So yeah, all smiles. Twickenham is empty. It's a pretty soulless area. It's very cold, yeah, as you can probably tell from the stutters. But metres made, Watson, that's great. 82 metres. May 57. Slade 41. You know, different game.
Well, the top 4 are all backs, aren't they? So
yeah, just on the
different mindset, yeah. Different game.
Yeah, just get everybody in line as well.
Well, Eddie Jones said something to the effect of, you know, we guaranteed that England would be on the money today, and they certainly playing a different style of rugby to what we've seen from England in recent times. Luca Bigi in possession. No Parise these days, no Giraldini. The Italians missing some top players as well. Here's Sperandillo, no Jake Pelledri, no Bram Steen, no Matteo Minozzi. This is Negri, wearing 24 now. Nice Stephen Varney for Gorbisi, floats it out to Sperandio, looking to add to the try that he scored against the French.
You're illegal, we just didn't win.
Great momentum. Again, I think they've got the advantage. That's come off an England boot or shin. So he's just trying to pop the ball through. Sperandio, as you said, scored a lovely little try against France. They didn't fire many shots. They made a lot of yards, but again, it was just that concentration, mistakes letting them down, especially when they were podding up in threes and then that ball out the back, it wasn't accurate enough.
Yeah, and they beat 19 defenders against the French as well.
Yep.
So there was penetration as well. Poor line out from Bigi. Here's Carlo Canna. Might work out for the Italians. Stephen Varney gets there quickly. He's caught quickly as well. Ball bobbling around, and the advantage goes to England for the knock-on. Comes off an Italian hand, but England under pressure this time from the Italians, who already have one try, of course, to their name from Ioane.
Well, Billy Vunipola got a bit of criticism last week for, well, his inability to get in the game in a sense. Slightly sluggish, but he wasn't there. That ball going over the top. Kana hit very well by two England defenders. Varney can't get there in time. Billy Vunipola comes from the good position. He is onside, snags the scrum half. You're allowed to do that. That ball is out. The referee has shouted it and just gets in there and stops a potentially, you know, crucial Italian attack. So that's good from the big England number 8.
Carlo Canna playing at 12. No Marco Zanon this week. He was injured last week, but last season it was an area of the game that Franco Smith did persist with. Gorbisi at 10 and the extra playmaker Canna, who's normally at 10 for Italy, just outside him.
I think it has to be the way to go, because Gorbisi's only 20. He is going to be great. He's got that touch of class about him. But having Canna inside him, you know, what, with nearly 50 caps, you know, he's 28 years of age, so he's got that experience. It's nice to have, because it's white-hot atmosphere out here at International Arena.
There we go.
You've got the experience on the bench as well with Tommaso Allen, who's 60 caps to his name. So there's a little bit of a security blanket around Gorbisi. They have options there.
Now, Italy will be quite happy to get this half-time whistle to blow. 15-8. If they could nick another 3 points, they are well in this hunt. But they know there'll be an onslaught in that second half. So it's all about just getting this line-up pretty clean. They've driven, I think, the last two. Went over the top on that last one, but they got away with it. Unfortunately, penalty here. They get tried again. Anything will go.
Varney into the midfield to Canna. Varney. Off goes Mayer. Gets support from Ceci and Bigi. Varney to the replacement prop, Danilo Fischetti. Give away 3 penalties last week. Now it's Negri.
He's a big carrier, isn't he, for Italy?
Gorbisi, Billy Vunipola. He's much more active today, isn't he, Vunipola? That's good defence on Slade. It had to be. It might have well have been a try-saving tackle, that, and it forced the knock-on out of England because space was opening up.
Got away with it there. I thought it was just about a shout try from Slade. I thought he just got out of that tackle. He didn't. Italy do well to scramble. And that's what it was about. Again, talking about being clinical, England know that they just want to close this half off. Billy's done very, very well. He's had to go at the scrum half, stopped him. He's had to go at the fly half, stopped him. And you think Ioane does superbly well. That's good. Just a little mistake there. And now Italy needs to concentrate. A try there, that would have been a lot of heartache for them. They've shown a lot of heart themselves in this game. Slade knows that far away from scoring.
Great top tackle on Henry Slade, wasn't it, from Monty Ioane? Yeah, Billy Vunipola got a bit of stick last week for his lack of energy. He's actually the only Saracens player who's played in the last couple of months who took part in a friendly against the Ealing Trailfinders, finished on the losing side. And the Saracens players go into the championship next season. Their first match, by my reckoning, March the 27th against Richmond away, very close to the Sun Inn. Have you ever been in the Sun Inn pub?
Never in my life.
Never.
No.
Never.
The House of Pain, I've never been in there.
I think you had an apartment in there somewhere.
I think it's quite a few people. What a great pub. What a great rugby pub. But anyway, got a good rugby game here. Totally different. for the one last week. It was all about the big carries there. England just didn't do it. Jamie George for England, who was playing only 3. George Turner, 9. And you had Billy Vunipola, this is one of it, just 3 carries from the big England number 8. Matt Farguson, 16. You know, I could go down the list and show the intent and the energy that Scotland brought to the game. Well, England have brought equally that same energy this afternoon. Thank goodness.
Okay, ball's available.
Ball available for Varney. Mike Adamson. Clear instruction for him. Here's Canna and Garbisi. Going to go from deep, are they? Good step on Slade. Nice little offload as well from Trula, who actually doesn't play for one of the 2 professional clubs in Italy. Fullback plays for Calvisano. He's been at Zebra.
Number 10 off feet, denying the
It's
contact.
just that precision then, really, with what, a minute to go. Trula, that ball has to go downtown. I know you had a lovely bit of skill out the back, but you're going to put your forwards under a lot of pressure. They've gone for the 5 metres. You see that? This is it. You admire the skill, you admire the bravery, but the scoreline, look at the clock. Get that ball off, regroup, have a cup of tea, and all of a sudden, here you go.
Well,
what are England good at? This.
That's the romantic intent I was talking about from Italy. It doesn't always pay off.
Stop.
Like, can England finish this
Space
half
at the
with a
front. No,
3rd
space.
try?
Thank you.
Look at the
Stay there.
tall boys there. You've got
Timeout.
Courtney Laws at 2, you've got Mario Toja at 4, then you've got Big John Hill right at the back. They've gone for the good ball at the front.
And it goes to a Toche. Initially, Italy just edging England back. Johnny May goes into
Stay on side.
at his weight. Has occasionally popped up in the England back row when needed. And there's been yellow cards. Ben Youngs for Courtney Laws, back on the flank for England today. He's played most of his rugby in white in the 2nd row. Ben Youngs has to dig it out. Slow ball for England, penalty. It's an infringement by Italy, and then they step off the line. Look like an offside in midfield. England making progress. What a good finish it would be to this first half. I think could score another try. Here's Elliot Daly. Johnny May! Can he squeeze in? A hurtling, flying leap from Johnny May. And is that try number 32 to take him past Greenwood and Cohen?
Listening.
Okay, Joy. On-field decision is try. Can you check touch and grounding, please? If not, we've got a penalty for number 17 off feet.
There you go.
On-field
Just
decision is
touch.
try. One
You
moment,
can
please.
touch the flag. That is, if he's got this down, he has. This is.
Doesn't matter that he touches the corner post.
Doesn't matter at all. That's fine. Did he go up the trapeze line to start with, though? We won't see from this angle.
I'm just checking control.
I think they just need to go back a little bit because, again, he was precariously close to that white line. That is some finish. We sort of...
Mike, I have a
Zammit was good for
decision.
Wales, scored a tremendous try.
Stick with your
Equally
on-field
as
decision,
good,
try.
but he's there. He's okay. He's okay. He's okay. What a finish. Take a bow, Johnny May.
Staggering aerial work from Johnny May.
And what did I say, Robbo, again about that little bit of skill, little bit of bravery from Italy? He didn't need to do it, and this is the frustrating thing. It will be for Franco Smith. You go in, you know, with it behind on the scoreboard, but all of a sudden you get hit like that, and that just devastates you. And knowing Farrell, he'll just slot these extra 2 points as well.
Well, Italy paying there for their exuberance. Attacking from their own 22. And suddenly the game gets away from the Italians. And Farrell didn't get a great strike on that one, but it's a pretty decent lead at half-time thanks to that man, the magnificent man who's a flying machine, Johnny May. What a score. England's 3rd try of that first half, and at half-time in this Guinness Six Nations 2nd round game. England 20, Italy 8. 20 points to 8 at half-time to England. So different to the Scottish performance. Johnny May, 72 metres. Daly, 61. Slade, 65. Watson, 82. Significant contributions from them all. Tries from Watson, Hill and Johnny May. And in the build-up, Eddie Jones guaranteed that England would be right on the money today. And reading the English Times in the build-up on Friday, they made a plea to Eddie: ditch the arrogant excuses, embrace the love of the ball, and start inspiring the nation. Well, it looks like they were inspiring the nation of England just a little bit more in that first half by the way they played. Jones' selection was criticised too. This was a chance to broaden attacking ambition, said one newspaper, but instead England have gone for the safety blanket. Well, the safety blanket has been thrown off in the first 40.
Thanks. Ready? Go. Okay, stay behind.
So away go England in this second period. Recovered well from the early horror of an Italian try. Well worked try it was too from Monty Ioane.
Yeah, scowls have turned to smiles again, haven't they? But the biggest thing for me, again, 38% possession last week, no line breaks already in this, well, from the first half only 62% possession, 6 line breaks. What a difference a week makes.
Elliot Daly is tackled by Lazzaroni. David Ceci working hard in defence. Now Kyle Sinclair. Italians are still full of fight, that's for sure, and they will keep on fighting. Here's Maro Itoje. Italians can't get in to steal that ball, so the white wave comes forward again. Ben Youngs to George Ford. Now it's Curry, man of the match in that World Cup semi-final against New Zealand. And England played magnificently well, one of their best performances for many a year, before getting a little bit of a shock in the final against South Africa. Luke Cowan-Dickie breaks through an Italian hole, and England now on the front foot. This is where Eddie Jones wanted England to be in this game, front football, so they could feast off that and punish this Italian side. But look at the counter-rucking coming in from Italy there as Lazzaroni gets the ball away, and he finds Johan Meyer. It's a real industry in defence from Italy. Garbisi, that's a really clever kick. Monty Ioane has one man to beat in a sense. England covering across. Owen Farrell's going to make this work for him in defence, and he does. In comes Brex, Ignacio Brex. Had a really good first appearance for Italy last week against the French. And now Ceci. Can Italy make a start to the second half as they did in the first? Negri tries to bump away from the tackle coming in from Courtney Laws. Now it's Varney to Maro. Was that a little bit high from Maro Itoje? Looked like a potential seatbelt up around the neck area. Negri once more, and a short little line, running powerfully and with pace, and England give away the penalty. So the pressure looks like it might well pay off for Italy as everybody piles in for a little bit of rough and tumble.
Well, I think that's just frustrating from England there, because they did so well. As you mentioned, Italy started this first half with a try. Looked like England were progressing that way. They were passing the ball, little cherry balls from Ben Youngs, and then it went a bit wider with Cowan-Dickie through the middle. All of a sudden, a turnover. Ioane, who scored for Italy right at the beginning of that first half, was through. Beautiful kick, absolutely superb kick on the money. Just brushes tackler out the way, and then you think, right, where it is, it's good defence. Farrell comes across very, very well. Ford is also there, and then it's a procession to the line. This is Negri taking that ball in once again. Maro Itoje is not supporting his weight. That's the problem with that turnover. This should be a 3 points. This is what I would take from Italy. Farrell can't stop himself. There is no need to get in there. He is the captain of this England side. What are you doing, mate? There's nothing. It's a nothing thing, his handbags, but he is so wound up. it doesn't need to be. It needs to be a cooler head. He's playing well. England are playing well. But again, that just shows how much fight this Italy side have got, and they're going to need it. It's going to be a very, very hard.
To deal with it. Let me deal with it on the mark.
I weren't dealing with it. I was trying to get them off.
You ran in for 15 metres.
To try and get them off my teammates.
Yeah, that's not your job. I will deal with that.
See, this is when you're going to have a cool. There's no need. You're 20 points to 8 up.
You're never clearly on your feet when you stole the ball. That's what
And the referee is absolutely right. It's my job. The trouble is when people get in there and start yelling and pushing and fighting. Well, not fighting, so you can't do that anymore. It just antagonises everyone. Get out of the way.
You won the penalty. I don't want to see anything after that. Okay, so clearly won the penalty. Tell your players.
Franco Smith, the Italian coach, this week was talking about looking for new icons in Italian rugby, something sustainable for the future. We're building a cathedral, he said, targeting the World Cup in 2027, 2023 in France, in Italy's Pool A. They have New Zealand and France, so it looks likely they'll be facing a pool exit there. But look at the players they've lost in recent times, legends all. Castro Giovanni, Parise, Conor O'Shea, the former coach as well, who tried to develop this Italian side, Bortolami, the Bergamascos, going back Diego Dominguez and Alessandro Troncon, who's now a member of the Italian coaching team, as Garbisi adds the 3.
Well, you say the second half, England, well, you're going to see Italy gifted England a chance with that try right at the death of the first half. They didn't need to do it. Score first, Italy have done that.
I just want to see you running in for
outstanding. Farrell's still having to go at the referee. The referee's still having to go at Farrell. It's great out there at the moment, but Italy get the first points in the second half. And coming back to your point about Italy building, Rome wasn't built in a day, was it, Robbo?
Oh,
okay, we're inside.
Yeah.
Onside.
I'm feeling slightly nauseous. Here's Garbisi. He's got a really strong left boot. Elliot Daly's got a strong right boot. We've seen him land penalties from 55 metres in the past. Johnny May, what a fantastic flying acrobatic finish that was at the end of that first half when the Italians decided to run from deep instead of clear their lines. Knock on by England will be a scrum, but a point, Dowie, England in that first half moving the ball. Do you think they would have played like that if they hadn't played the way they did against Scotland last week? Is this a reaction, or would this have been the tactic in any case?
Who knows? I really can't second guess or second think Eddie Jones, because he's made so many mistakes in his coaching way that holds his hands up and say, right, whatever.
Substitution number 8.
For me, yes, Italy are the weaker side of the Six Nations. Their results show that. So, yeah, you've got to have a go. You could change things. But going into games, he thinks like, oh, wait, I can't afford to lose. I want my percentage count up, my percentage victories up. Well, we've been through this. Kicking more times than not kicking will win you games. And that's all that seemed he was intended. This is a different approach to England. And that is the plan B, I think, that people wanted. When you're struggling games, how can we do it? Well, for me, this is it. This is a much better thing, and this is more entertaining.
Well, Rory O'Connor, the Irish independent, accused England of playing what he called Old Testament rugby. All that kicking and chasing. Robert Kitson of the Guardian said England need to venture outside their tactical comfort zone, and they were certainly doing that in the first half. Cannoni has come on for Lamaro, who was one of Italy's most effective players up front against France last week, so that's a big loss.
Yeah, this will be going into the skies at Southwest London because it's a free kick and chase. They're going to have to go some to get that, put a bit of pressure on Daly.
Daly takes it from Garbisi's rocket launch.
Hold its leg, stop here.
Johnny May into George Ford. And up goes Garbisi, claims it strongly in the air. The youngster. Varney. England out very quickly. Curry it was, sprinting from that defensive line. Here's Varney, he's going on a bit of a backward parabola there.
Ball's clearly exposed. Ball's clearly exposed.
That's again where Italy let themselves down. Scrum half's on the floor and England on the... Oh, that's twice now, Farrell. See, he can't stop himself. I'm sorry.
Optimistic tip on from Curry, and Farrell just couldn't, the irascible Farrell just couldn't quite get there.
He's got the shortest of the fuses at the moment. He's not handling the pressure well. Again, this is what happens. Italy, you just expose yourself. Johnny Hill's allowed to do that. The referee's communicated that. Somebody's got to step in there. If a scrum half goes on the floor, and then when they move the ball, you think it's on. It's just a mistake. It's a hard tackle to make. Nobody's done anything, and then all of a sudden, you know, he's got to have a go. He needs to calm down, or we may see the other side of the England captain, which isn't great.
He's getting a bit narky, Owen Farrell.
Crouch.
Playing in the centre for the 40th time today. 30th occasion he's been captain of England on his 90th appearance. Varney, there's a chance wide here. Gorbisi, he's quick. Look at the pace through the hole. Ben Young scrides him down, catching him by the shirt sleeves. Here's Monty Ioane. Stephen Varney. Good charging run from Fischetti. And now it's Giolacci. Zebra prop forward, 20 of the 23 from either Benetton or Zebra. Gorbisi, a little inside ball, trying to change the lines of the running here, Italy. And now it's Carlo Canna. There's the advantage of the twin playmakers, the Italian, usually the Italian out half, but England come away with it.
All you can hear out there, again, in the soulless stadium, was smash, smash, smash from England, trying to put Italy on their backsides and win the ball over, and they've definitely done that.
Good little offload from Cowan Dickey to Billy Vunipola. Ben Youngs to George Ford. The Italians down a man. There's a player injured. Gorbisi.
Canna's hobbling terribly down here. He's got his arms up.
The player who was injured there was Fischetti, the prop. Canna back. Here he is now inside his own half. And off he goes. And he's got Ioane outside him, the speed merchant. Gets support from Ignacio Brex, the Argentinian-born outside centre. Now it's Negri, strong from Negri. This is good from Italy. Here's Varney. Now can they do the right things inside the 22? This is where the Italians are inclined to lose composure, run out of ideas as the phases build. Can they create here? No, they can't. They just give the ball away to Anthony Watson. And Gorbisi, with all his pace, is not going to catch the British and Irish lion, Anthony Watson, who scores his second try, and with it, the bonus point for England.
Heartbreak for Italy, so much good work, turning balls over, coming on the ball at the right angles, and again, just the forcing of a pass when they really didn't need to do it. You just needed to trot your forwards out a little bit more. Varney's down there, there's players all over the park. I think I got my Brexes and my Cannas mixed up because both of them are down now, and that is heart-wrenching from an Italian point of view. You can see there was support out there wide. Gorbisi pops it out, and Watson just picks it out, like picking pears out of a tree. Thank you very much, all the way straight to the middle, underneath the post. And as Italy gifted England a try really by making a mistake at the end of that first half, they've made a big mistake then, scoring that penalty first and getting the scores back to respectability.
It's okay.
Oh. That's just what?
Actions of 12 white on 9 blue.
Yep.
12 white, it's Mr. Farrell with a short fuse. There's nothing wrong with that, unless he's caught him with an arm or something. Farrell always does that after he's done something naughty, though.
Joy Neville is the TMO. I'm pretty sure I'm right on this. The first ever pregnant TMO to adjudicate in the Six Nations. Joy is 6 months pregnant. The former Irish international, 70 times capped for Ireland, 2 World Cups. And having another look at this, Joy Neville, a very fine referee in her own right.
This is the best angle.
He's been refereeing in the Pro 14. And it's Farrell who's been looked at here.
It's Farrell's head.
Doesn't look too bad.
No, I don't think he hasn't, deliberately going.
It's more of a shove.
I'm trying to get the best angle up, please, Mike, for a
Arms
moment.
are low. Does the shoulder even go in?
Not saying any clear foul
He's
play.
just released the ball. Just there. He sort of delays the pass.
It's not foul
There
play
are
in
the
a sense
angles,
because he's
Mike.
just pushing him
Just
away.
looking at it in real speed, like, so I'm not seeing a clear foul
They do
play.
clash of heads, but that
head on head
wasn't
collision.
intent.
Okay, I agree.
It looks fine. It looks
We
fine.
agree that's not seeing any clear foul play. So it's chest on chest, no clear,
Nothing wrong.
no clear head contact, foul play. Happy with that? Happy with those facts, Joy?
Mike.
Okay, thank you. We've checked, no foul play for us.
Yeah, it's worth a
Time
look.
on.
You know, if the TMO has some doubt with the challenge, it's definitely worth a second look. But the try stands, Farrell converts, England stretch away.
And that's what it was. Watson stretched away for that score, and England are doing that now. The normally average, as I said before, is at 31 points in these fixtures at home. I think they're on course with the intent they've shown.
Number 12.
There's a big player that's on the field. Charlie Ewels will have to get his mitts on the ball. It's all about the power game, but I'm liking the way England, and especially Youngs, is mixing it up. They keep it tight, and then Woomph off it goes through the centre. We saw Cowan Dickey carrying out there like a centre, in a sense, so that's stretching sides. And this is now getting to the point where Italy historically sort of run out of gas, but they're showing a lot of intent, but unfortunately they just need to be a little bit more clinical, throwing those speculative passes.
Dan Robson getting a good chunk of game time out there. The Wasps. Scrum arm is going to get half an hour here.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. Up goes Trula. Jacopo Trula, just 20 years of age. 5th cap, 3 of those on the wing, but away come England again. And their power game is beginning to drain this Italian side. Here's Farrell slipping into the 10 position. Anthony Watson on the hat-trick. Is this going to bounce for Watson? Not quite. Did brilliantly to keep the ball in play. Here's Curry for Slade. Whistle goes. Forward pass. So close again, England.
Well, Courtney Laws does that turnover. Normally a seconder, obviously playing in the back row.
England 1 and 2 change, 1 and 2.
That's when I don't mind the crossfield kick. It's a great box kick from Robson. Italy take it in, and there you go. Big Northampton second row, playing back row today. Turns the ball over, Itoja gets it. The ball comes back, all the sort of Italian defence is squeezed into one area, and that's a lovely bit of skill to Watson. Unfortunately, I think it was obviously knocked on, not unfortunately, but great skill as he hurdles the hoardings.
Oh, sorry, time off.
Careful, big fella.
Pop down backfield.
Marco Vunipola goes off. He hasn't played a lot of rugby, only 11 league games since the World Cup for Saracens, and he's just back from an Achilles strain. Jamie George, another Saracen, is on now, and also Ellis Genge.
And this is the move again. Watson isn't going to get that. Flicks it back inside. That must have been forward from Slade to Curry.
Just
A few injuries, a few tired bones out there because it's been non-stop, hasn't it, really, from the first get-go. Cowan Dickey looks on, not a bad shift, 14 carries, meters made 59. You see, that's the difference.
Okay, lads, time on then. Here we go.
That's the difference.
There's the mark, start
Those
left.
meters, and that's what he likes to do. He's a talented footballer.
Yeah, you control that.
Another one.
You control it. There's
Double
mark.
winners for Exeter last season, winning the Premiership and the Champions Cup.
Take your gap. Okay, take your
Jamie
place.
George kept on the bench for a long time by Dylan Hartley. Is he now being pushed by Luke Cowan?
Yeah, well, it happens, doesn't it? He has to be. I mean, you know, Jamie George, great player, great darts. I mean, his accuracy is outstanding. That's what you got to. That's what you sort of. You teamed at, isn't it? In a sense, how good are you at the core areas? George is good there. Cowan Dickey equally good, but you've got to say Cowan Dickey is better around the field. He's more aggressive around there. But when it comes down to it, when you need someone to hit that double top, Jamie George normally does it. But it's great. How many people do you need in 3 positions? Do they say go into a World Cup? Definitely 3. There's 2 there. You know, England again have got tremendous riches in most positions, and that's why I want to see them play. It's what Robson now getting 30 minutes. Why not? You know,
England said they weren't too happy, or some English players said they weren't too happy with the Italian over-celebrating when they won penalties, and there was a lot of Italian celebration there at that scrum.
I'm sorry, Mario Itoje, I've watched him from a lot, from Saracens days, and he's still with Saracens, and they whoop and yell and whoop and yell, and it's basically, it's a ploy to get the other side to lose it, someone to throw a punch or whatever to get him sent off. I don't like it. I must admit, I don't like it.
I remember Mario Itoje popping up in the middle of a Glasgow huddle in a Champions Cup game. Poked his head in.
Go first before the line got dropped.
Yeah, this Italian side, 5 consecutive Six Nations whitewashes. 2019, they were last place in the Six Nations for the 15th time out of 20. And the last 10 against England at Twickenham, the average score is 43-12 to England. And the Italians took to the pitch 8 times last year. They lost them all, including Wales, Scotland and France twice each. They had a rather pyrrhic victory against Fiji, 28-0, but only because Fiji had COVID in the camp and couldn't fulfill the fixture. So it's BG stolen by Courtney Laws. Off goes Kyle Sinclair. Another of the British and Irish Lions in this England squad. Here's the baby rhino, Ellis Genge. On the back foot here, England. Good defence by the Italians, so they decide to go for territory.
Very good defence, yeah. England forced the kick. But those Italian forwards are looking a little bit leaded-footed. That's a good hit back there, Genge.
No, stop. You need to form a line out. You can't come half in, half out.
Having words and afters.
Italy were 6th in that recent Autumn Cup, losing 38-18 to Wales in the 5th place playoff match, and in the early stages they lost to Scotland in Florence and France in Paris, conceded 14 tries in the 3 games that they actually played. Remember, Fiji never actually got underway. Here is Johnny May, can score from anywhere, as Ireland discovered when they played against England in the Autumn Nations Cup here. 18-7 was the victory, and England come in off their feet and give away the penalty. And again, the vociferousness of the celebrations from the Italians.
I don't mind. You get it. You know, it's. Like I said, I don't like it, but actually, you can see what they're trying to do. And England have no leg to stand on, because that's what they've sort of done before. And again, it's a tremendous tackle, you've got to say, from Federico Mori, just holding on to Johnny May's bootlaces there, getting a turnover from it. I wasn't quite sure who went in to get that turnover, and this is the only option for them, because they're chasing the game 27-11. They've got to go into the corner. They didn't do a Billy Burns then and go a little bit too far to get those 5 metres. It's a lot of work for the Italians to do here, because England are superb at this. A lot of weight there, a lot of height in this English pack.
Neat, tidy line out to David Ceci from Fiji. Yeah, you could just sense it, the way the 2 sets of forwards folded in there, that England had done enough to turn that ball over.
Itoje's normally a thorn in most sides of the play. He's been a little bit quiet today, but again, he was outstandingly superb. If that makes any sense, because again, they didn't contest the line out. Like I said, there's a lot of weight there, there's a lot of experience, so there's a lot of nous. He just waited to see where that ball comes. Italy go infield there, and he's still on the side, that's fine. He hasn't come in from the side, he came in from the back, and he stays in that position if that ball stays up. Okay, change over to an England put in. That's exactly what's happened. So you don't have to be flash all the time, just use your 2 top inches occasionally.
Italy 10 whitewashes in total in the Six Nations. They've lost 35 of their last 36 in this competition. Looks like it's going to be 36 from 37, and again, tempers a little bit ragged out there.
But that'll suit Italy. It won't suit England. England want to get on with the game.
Right, lads, let's go.
It's trying to get them together. Again, they're going to mountain decline as far as to win this game. They won't do it, but they just want to stick in it for the full 80 minutes. Be respectable at the end of the day, get the scoreboard there, but They're just trying to hype themselves up, and now are talking to from the referee headmaster.
Okay, that's the second time after penalty. All the teams are coming in. Okay, that needs to stop now. We're going to have to deal with it differently next time. Okay, have a word. After the whistle goes, that's when we stop. Okay.
This suits one team more than another.
What's that? Well, let's go on with the game then.
And what did I just say?
He can't resist having a last word, can he?
Well,
Owen
of course it suits Italy, but that's part of sport, mate. You want everything, you know, everybody, Farrell wants everything, and the referee on his side. Well, it doesn't happen. You can see what Italy are trying to do. Like I said, I don't condone it, but it's part and parcel. When you're struggling, only 28 losses on the spin, you're going to try everything and anything.
Yeah, a bit of bubbling Latino blood out there at the moment from this Italian team. Unsettling England. Jamie George. Courtney Laws looks like such a great athlete, doesn't he? Those long arms stretching into this bitter, icy English sky. Dan Robson going in to ferret the ball out, but it's Ellis Genge who takes on the Italian defence around those fringes. Now Courtney Laws steps in off that left foot. Dan Robson. Here's Curry. Can he get outside the tackle? He can. He gets away from Mayer. Robson. Here's George Ford to Henry Slade. Kyle Sinclair now. And again, roaring and shouting from this Italian side as they manage to win the turnover. And Carlo Canna is going to come back on for Morey, and yet again another number switch by the Italians, clearly setting out to confuse the commentators. Number 26 Carlo Canna joins number 24 Sebastian Negri.
It's your department. But again, England doing, well, answering really what Italy are trying to do is wind them up, and actually took a very good line-out, very good line-out drive. Jamie George come on again, hitting his man superbly well, and just carrying at speed, and that's what's going to, that's going to invariably be the story of the game in a sense. Tackles made 110 now from Italy, but they've missed 20 tackles, and you will miss tackles when you've got big forwards carrying the ball at pace. England will make mistakes, but it's better to see what you can do with ball in hand rather than not just kick it aimlessly up in the skies. And that lad likes to get the ball in his hand, Ben Earl. So at least he's got 20 minutes as well.
Yeah, he's on. Buddy Vunipola is off, and so too Courtney Laws. And Jack the Jackler, there he is. 42 turnovers in the Premiership for the Wasps Open side last season.
Elasticity of his legs. If he actually gets a classic, just watch how far he can spread his legs to get over top of that ball in total control, in total power to win it.
The power game match stats for the attack. England 100 carries and 8 gain line successes and 8 line breaks for England. So much better from the game against the Scots.
Because you're making line breaks because the ball again is not in the air, it's in your hands.
Set.
Oh, it is a different standard of opposition. It should be emphasised. Here comes the drive from England, determined to respond after the Italians winning the penalty in a previous scrum. And England celebrating that one in the way the Italians did too. And that hasn't gone down well with the Italians.
Get your 18.
Well, it's all right for Italy, they're taking the clock down, aren't they? So it's ticking. Oh, they're
Dan
off.
Robson's away here. Great work by Dan Robson. He might go all the way here, Dan. He's so close. The Wasp scrum half. Owen Farrell. Charlie Ewell stands off. Marlo Itoje, will he pick and jam and go himself here with a bit of a latch on from Ewells?
Leave him.
That was the option, and Jack Willis millimetres short for England. Itoje again, there's space on the left-hand side, there's space on the right-hand side, but the forwards will drive for the line. And they don't need anybody in those wide channels. They leave it to Jack Willis, the poacher extraordinaire at the breakdown. Poaches a try in an England shirt.
Absolutely, I just needed to say, I was looking at you at the time of this breakdown. Robson, fleet of foot, fleet of mind, brilliant. He nearly gets to himself. That would have been a sensational score as Italy turned their backs on him. That's one person you don't turn your back on. Again, it's just a procession to the line. Willis, that was the first time he didn't get there then. It's just recycle, take your time, recycle. Anthony Watson was screaming for it down on his right-hand side for the kick pass, but in the end, it's Willis against the 10, 7 against the 10. You're never going to stop him from there, and I think that says it all. He wants to start from the beginning, but he's come on and been made an impact without a doubt. So again, it's great to see the Wasp flanker going over.
Trying a Six Nations debut for Jack Willis. He'll remember that one. Owen Farrell, his golden point from a position not dissimilar to this, won the Autumn Nations Cup for England against the French second-stroke third-string side. And in fact, it was a kick very much like that one as well that won that Nations Cup to back up the Six Nations Championship that England won last season.
There you go. He won't tire watching this. Genge is at his back, just let him go. But I think you've got a 9 and a 10 trying to stop you. Combined weight of about 14 stone. For those two little lads.
Itoje, classic Itoje take, gets good support. In comes Willis, buries the ball into his midriff, and away comes Itoje. England might take even more risks now with the 5 match points secured as we enter the final quarter. Dan Robson. Well, they got over the ball again, England. They were celebrating the steal before the referee awarded it. And Italy again have an injury. So off goes Mayer, runs into Itoje. Not releasing. Varney wants to keep the tempo high here for the Italians. And it's another penalty, not 10 England.
Well done, Varney. Again, you've got to buy your team everything here. You've got to go for it. Again, England screaming and everything. The word smash coming out every time a blue body goes near them. But that was good from the scrum half. Trying to put a bit of, well, get a bit of yardage, really, because they've been lacking to get their hands on the ball. Just hurt his calf. You've got Palazzini.
Stephen Varney, the reason why he's able to play for Italy, his Italian great-granddad was a prisoner of war in Wales.
Goodness me.
There you are. Yeah. So that's where the bloodline began.
That hotel room you've been, it's not got any padded cells, padded walls in it, has it? But no, I mean, look, he's not a regular for Gloucester, but I wasn't quite sure. A youngster, 19, you've got to throw him in. He made a super break. Unfortunately, got pulled back from TMO for Ioane. Scored a try, but it was disallowed. And look, he's a snappy little character. His serves is super. You know, the forwards know exactly who's in charge, and that's what they need. And, you know, just need to stay in games a little bit more. And this is the area now when Italy tend to leak a lot of points.
Cannot.
Oh,
good
lovely
line by Morey. Splendid stuff. Need a good defending by England.
No, 21!
Oh dear. There's a lot of screaming straight away, and that's one of the horrors when there's no crowd. If a player picks up a serious injury, you immediately hear the squeals. It's Jack Willis, I think, who's down, and it did not sound good from here. And
he's had a history, hasn't he?
Oh, he
leg
has.
Injuries.
He has a history, and just after scoring that Six Nations try at a Six Nations debut.
Well, from that scream, he won't be walking off that pitch. He's a hard lad, he's a strong lad, he's a brave lad. All the medical officers are on, and they've been heightened this year with the HIAs and blood and whatever, so they will take their time, they will do everything they need, but it would suggest to me that a stretcher, they're looking for it.
Well, that's a literal ecstasy of agony for Jack Willis. It's so sad.
We're not showing any replays of that purely because, like you said, Mark, you can hear it up here, what it must have been like down there. But hey, this happens. You get it wasn't malicious by anybody. These things just happen. You get your studs possibly caught in the turf. You know, you turn, some weight came in from the other side. But the best medical people are out there. You've got the stretcher with the cart coming on. and he'll be whisked into fantastic medical area in what Twickenham have. They've got a dentist chair in, and they've got everything. Every area is covered for eventualities like this, so hopefully it isn't too bad and play can resume pretty soon. There's a wide replay. Yeah, you can see him grabbing his knee. It's just a weight thing, and your leg is trapped.
Sorry? I think it's a twist on the knee.
You hear Mike Adamson saying there that he saw the twist to the knee of Jack Willis there, and well, just look at it. England's last match against the Italians in Rome in the Six Nations, they won 34-5. The French second, third string beat the Italians 36-5 in the Autumn Nations Cup. Do you feel so far, Dowie, at 34-11, yes, there's still plenty of time to go, that this is an acceptable performance, when again you've got to consider always the opposition up against England today? Remember, 28 consecutive defeats in the Six Nations for Italy.
It's a different performance, but I think this is what all journalists or ex-players or whatever, pundit, whatever, that you get fed up with all the power and the people that Jones could pick, really, who are playing in the Premiership brilliant, but he sort of just seems to not pick them. They're not in my thoughts, and then we just go to a mundane kicking game. And the kicking game, yes, as we go, and I've said many times, I get bored by saying it, but you will win more games without the ball than when you will. But when it comes to that crunch game, the World Cup final, they nearly lost the autumn final last week against Scotland, when he didn't change it because you haven't been playing in a way. That's what frustrates people. And when you're paying 150 quid a ticket to come down and watch a team with all the talent that he could pick, sometimes it does annoy people. So yeah, I mean, this has been a much better game. What are they going to do in 2 weeks' time? You know, I hope they carry on this. Look, the kicking game was important. New Zealand kicked the leather off it when they won. France kicked it. Scotland kicked more than England did last week, but they kick it for a specific way. You know, hog spirals a kick down that bottom corner. Unbelievable. So the kicking game will always be important, but it's how you sort of balance it out. You know, you've got massive forwards, you've got skillful forwards, you've got everything. You know, it's part and parcel. It's a long way to go. It's 23 to the next World Cup. And Dan Robson, they need 30 minutes, needs 40 minutes. I need him to start. So, you know, sorry for my soapbox rant, but that's what frustrates people. And Eddie's, you've got to say, is arrogant on times when it's almost, don't tell me what I'm going to do or what I'm going to pick. Well, you're not in a sense, but you just want to see a difference. More times than not, and we see the England tries, they can play different, they can keep it tight. I like it. I like the grunt of the forwards.
Well, that was the moment of ecstasy, and unfortunately it's also different now for Jack Willis. But yeah, again, look at what, 160 metres.
There you go.
Anthony Watson, Daly almost 100, Johnny May closing in on 100, and Monty Ioanni's had a fine game with ball in hand as well, as is Henry said. But you talk about decisions and selections. Ollie Lawrence, well, that made a lot of headlines in the papers this week. Ollie Lawrence touched the ball once in the game last week against Scotland in the 62nd minute. Eddie Jones said, oh, it was a difficult game for Ollie Lawrence. Well, he didn't have the ball, so what did he do wrong with that one touch? And he was dropped from the 23. I mean, is that the right thing to... It's difficult for international coaches. They've got to make selection decisions all the time. But what about that one as an example?
Well, who controls the way the backs play or where the team play when they're on there? The captain, Farrell. You know, he's not a natural 12, as in a directional 12 that'll take the ball up, that'll truck it up. So, you know...
Keep it square. Keep it square.
England get caught sometimes with their pants down, and they're not able to then pull them back up because we just play a one-dimensional style. Have we got the right combination with Farrell at 12? Ford, I think, is fine at 10, but I think we do need something different at 12. I'll be totally honest. I don't think there's enough threat.
A devastating moment for Jack Willis. We're hearing, I can actually see it, that Anthony Watson is going into the pack as England run out of replacements, and he's playing at number 8. Johnny May had a spell last week, didn't he, in the number 8 position.
Good bind, give a high bind, elbow up.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest
Let's go.
number 8 performance I think we've seen on the scrimmage.
Johnny's not one of the the top back row forwards in world rugby. Great winger, as he showed in the first half with that finish. But remember, you'll be talking about England. They've only lost 2 of their last 18 games. That was the World Cup final and against Scotland, and just 3 losses in their last 30 here at Twickenham. So it's a very good record. Here is Varney getting some spaces. Varney. Oh, that's brilliant from Morey. What an offload. What a try by the Italians. Scored by Tommaso Allen. Well, the replacements came thundering into the game with some nuclear attacking for Italy.
Well, they're not bowing out of this game, are they, Italy? Morey, that's what I'm talking about, a directional guy that makes an impact off the bench at an inside centre role, who actually busts through tackles. That's fantastic support play by Allen. And this is where, historically, Italy go out of games because, again, they can't keep up with the pace and they've hit back straight away. A lovely little break from Varney. Again, good scrummage. Just a little simple take the ball up on the right-hand side and someone running hard and strong. Busts the line, passes the ball, and then underneath the post. Well done, Italy.
And by the way, Federico Morey, who made that break, he's another one of the club players in Franco Smith's side. He plays for Calvisano. He's not even playing at full professional level.
Get him signed up. That's all I can say on that evidence, and that's all I need to see. Someone who runs direct, who's not afraid to take it in physically, who has the dexterity then to pass it out of a tackle. Yeah, you'll do for me.
That's 9 tries the Italians have scored now in 4 visits to Twickenham. So they normally come away from here with some sort of decent return, and they're doing the same again on this occasion. There's a Itoje. England looking to respond through Dan Robson. Here's Anthony Watson to Johnny May. 2 wingers, Concertina, Ing close together. Forward, is there space in the outside? Poor pass. Put Farrell under all sorts of pressure. Had to stop and go again. Standing start for Farrell. Sets it for Robson. Great offloading again by England in tight spaces. Getting in behind that Italian defence. Ball had to go there, surely. There were 4 or 5 shirts away on the left-hand side. England may score yet, though. Robson gets it out. And England get it in through Elliot Daly, who scores for the white shirts.
I'll tell you one person who's enjoying the way England are playing at the moment is Tom Curry. Just watch this pass and we can see that if we do get a replay of just the way he just takes the pass and there he is, offload, bang. That's how you get past any defence in the world, by riding a tackle and just popping that ball up. It wasn't a risky pass, and then England can just build and build, and you're right, that ball should have gone from Ford. Curry's back out there, he's in the line, he's got options. Robson comes in just in front of Anthony Watson. That's over the top, and that's just pressure, power and pace from England again. There you go. See, that's the difference. An open side flanker that's linking play, whichever he does, invariably underused as far as I'm concerned when England are playing the kicking game. When they play a passing game, different kettle of fish.
Owen Farrell, nice, crisp, chunky strike again from the England 12.
There he goes, over the top, could have gone to Genge.
Don't touch it! Don't touch it, Alice!
It's live.
He's delighted that the ball floated for the heads of those scrambling forwards, trying to have their moment of glory and get a try for this English team who moved beyond the 40-point mark. And George Ford thumps one downfield, gives Italy another opportunity maybe to go from deep again here. It's Monty Ioane once more, scored at the very early stages of this game to put Italy into the lead. Lazzaroni back to Tommaso Allen. Palazzani is on now as well, and they might get Trullo looked like he might have been on the end of that if the ball had reached him. Didn't quite. Then England looking to counter now from deep. Henry Slade heads up, that pass difficult for Johnny May to take, and he chunks one off the outside of his boot, and up it goes. But England might be slightly disappointed with that outcome in the end, but Italy were so close to scoring themselves now.
Yeah, I was just watching again, Kerry chasing it, but he really put his pedal to the metal there, and his Owen Farrell just getting back, putting his hand in front, which stops, not to say a chance of a try. Trula couldn't get that, and then it's a turnover ball, and you've got all the speedsters on this right-hand side. Couldn't quite get to them, but Elliot Daly putting the boot there initially. To the 22 now. Italy have got to go a long way.
Lucchesi gathered in by Lavotti. Palazzani on for Stephen Varney. We'll get Dowie's thoughts on Varney's performance in a moment. We get a break and play. Dowie Moss, of course, Lions test scrum half. Should know what he's talking about. Should.
Well, I will reply to that. Yeah, look, I mean, for a 19-year-old, he had a very good game against the beaten pack last week against France. This Italian pack has done outstandingly well once more. He is the future. They have to stick with him. He's a live wire. His distribution is good, and he bosses the forwards. And I think Garbaretti, outside him, enjoys playing with the spinning pass and the quickness of his pass as any fly half would.
Looks suspiciously forward, that pass, but on we go. And here's Ford for Farrell. Now Ben Earl. Good footwork by Ben Earl. He's a forward that I suspect might be able to play in the centre. Eddie Jones is always talking about hybrids. Jack Niall, he's mentioned he may play someday in the back row. We'll see about that. Again, the Italians got their hands on the ball. Here goes Watson for Ellis Gaines. Whistle's gone.
Well, Ellis Gaines was carrying then almost to the M4. He just wasn't going to bow down and lay down, just bumping all Italians off. Unfortunately, when you just do that, Canaroo is probably one in the business of just ripping that ball, rips it off. Ioane gets it back there. I'm not sure, because that's gone back. Is it from? It's obviously deemed it's gone forward from Mario Itoje. The referee's in charge. He's had a good game.
Yeah, first Six Nations refereeing appointment for Mike Adamson, the Scotsman. He's refereed an Olympic 7 semi-final, Mike Adamson, in Rio. But this a major step up. Will Stewart about to come on, whose granddad played number 8 for Uganda. And whose great-granddad was the Bishop of Uganda. You love you love this. Stop you sniggering, Morris.
Oh dear.
Keep it nice and square.
Apologies for some language you heard there, and some words you heard from my lead commentator. I will, seriously, after this pandemic's over, we need to go out.
He's also a jazz flautist and plays the piano. And
jazz flautist.
A jazz flautist, yeah. He is. He's not on yet. He will be soon. Carl Sinclair.
Didn't appear in Anchorman, did he?
Fine.
The greatest film that's ever been made, by the way.
Another scrum penalty.
Second time early engage.
Well received by that Italian pack yet again.
Well, they haven't died. They haven't gone away, have they? They've played the way. Well, we knew the way the Italy were going to play. I'm not surprised the way England played with ball in hand, because they can do it. Most of these guys do it week in, week out when they're at the Premierships clubs. It was just nice to see Italy with what we got, 7 minutes to go or so, 6 minutes, staying in the fight. And that's what people want. That's what they want to stick two fingers up to ex-players or officials, whatever. I mean, they have a horrendous record in this Guinness Six Nations, but, you know, who else is going to come there? Everyone says Georgia. Well, are they? Every time Italy's played them, they've beaten Georgia, haven't they? Mr. Stat again?
Yeah, Georgia have never beaten Italy. That's correct.
I'm not saying that Georgia don't deserve, you know what I mean? It could be a place for them as well. It could be the Seven Nations. But Italy at least are trying something with these youngsters, and they've got to stick with them.
Well, that's what Franco Smith was talking about this week, about that project of his, looking beyond not just this World Cup coming up, but the one after that. But they've had a long time to develop, over 20 years at this level.
you've come and sealed it off.
Well, they're winning 12
The
games out
ball
of
is clearly exposed,
106
and
in
you've come
that
off your
time.
feet. Ball's clearly
29th
exposed,
defeat
then off
this will
feet.
be in succession in the Six Nations today. As you say, Dow, there's plenty of vigour about the performance, despite what's been coming at them as Henry Slade finds the 22.
Yeah, well, that's all they can do, is keep going and going, and it will happen, because I've seen a difference from in 7 days. All right, they're well beaten again, but they were well beaten out in France because they were turning their backs. And I mean, that French side is a sensational side, and that one is just going to get better and better. But stay in the fight. Except put two fingers up to people that say they shouldn't be there.
Advantage, blue offside, backs coming up early.
Italians are offside here. Dan Robson, George Ford. Jamie George goes in to clear out. Dan Robson gets it back to Ellis Gaines. Had Curry on his left-hand shoulder.
Hold on,
No advantage. Dan Robson again, very keen to keep that fast tempo going. He had Max Malins running on his right-hand shoulder that
Backline
time.
moving up early before the line out is over. Backline moving up before
If
the
they go
arm
for
came
a scrum,
down,
it'll be
line out
another
wasn't
minute
over.
off the clock. But again, the game's 1 year to go. Go tap and go.
Ellis Gaines, can he get a try? Can England
Never
close
lifting
in
the
on
ball.
the 50-point mark, which is where France got to last week in Rome? It's Curry with the carry brought down by Lazzaroni. Here's Gaines. England looking for a stylish finish to this game. Dan Robson set up the previous try in behind. Elliot Daly gives Trula and Palazzani a chance to pounce and bring their man down. Robson for Stewart. Good low tackle by Lucchese. Replacement hooker. George Ford to Ben Earl. Good option in the middle of the field is Earl. 11 tries last season in the Premiership for his two clubs, Saracens and Bristol, where he was on loan. Now Stewart. Italians still working as hard as they can in defence. Off goes Henry Slade, and one of those loping runs of his. Deceptive pace from Slade. Jamie George. Curry plays scrum half.
So you've clearly taken the support play. Back you go, please.
More pressure about to come Italy's way.
Player, preventing him from getting
They're
a
not
clear
making
out.
it easy for England to
Clear
score,
tackle
are
on
they?
the support
In
player,
11 phases
preventing him
there.
from making a clear out.
Farrell pumped this probably into the corner. This will be England's possible last chance of another try. And they're walking to the line out.
There's Mark. Get the timing
Their
right.
day's work is almost done. Curry has been outstanding, to be honest. He's been everywhere. He's carried the ball. He's just a machine.
3 man, 2 receivers, 1 go back, 1 go back. Sorry, time off. We'll wait for us to do the list. Okay, how many?
Luca
How many?
Biget's put a lot
5
of work
man.
in today. 16 tackles, top tackler of this game.
Leading from the front.
Somebody in the
Captain.
channel? Yeah. Okay, time on.
Jamie George finds Charlie Ewells. We're going to finish with a power pack try from this England pack. Jamie George in possession. Now it's Gaines.
He fancies one.
Use it now, it's stop. Stay on.
He's come on and made an impact. Blind.
Dan Robson, does it need quick hands? Can Ford get there without using anybody beyond him? Looks like the Italians
Held up scrum.
have held him up, and again they're working feverishly right to the end here. This Italian side, and again a bit more pushing and shoving in there. Cannon not too happy.
Here we go. Scrum called, held up, scrum.
Again, probably the smallest on the pitch next to Varney is Ford. He's done a lot of work in his top body, but again, he's just good defence from Italy. Anybody else probably may have grounded that ball, go a little bit earlier, quicker.
Okay, keep the space
But
to the
I
engagement.
think it's an England scrum. Ball just held up over the line, so scrum's 1-7, nothing lost. 3 to England.
Time of number 5. Number 5.
Federica Rutzer is returning, and there is your Guinness Six Nations Player of the Match. Kyle Sinclair, well-deserved, Dowie.
Yes, I'm not absolutely sure. We've got Ben Kay and Ugo Monter alongside us. 40 metres, 11 carries. So yeah, I mean, it's industrial. It may be just one for the team in a sense, because everyone's applaud. Everyone likes a prop to get man of the match, and again, it's man of the match. He's a great player. When I go back to Warren Gatland, when he coached him at the Lions, he says like having a prop in playing centre, because he's that good with the ball in his hand. And if England carry on playing this way, he's going to get more man of the matches basically, because he loves the ball.
Yeah, the tip-ons from Sinclair have been impressive as well, as part of that Player of the Match package, if you like.
And that's how you beat these claustrophobic defences. A little tip on, get behind, and oof, and everyone's through the gap.
And those little curry offloads, as you pointed out as well.
Absolutely.
Get you in behind. Here's Robson. Ben Earl at number 8. And there'll be a reset. Just be a reset there.
Typical forwards want to slow a game up. Got a minute to go. We'll have another reset. Get it in.
Square contest.
You've got Johnny May on this far right side. Acres of space. Malin's again another industrious, fantastic player. But I don't think these forwards want to let the ball go.
Get ready to play it away. Crouch. Bind. Coming across again. Too much weight coming across. No, you've got far too much weight coming across.
Huge frustration concede.
Just kick it off.
Penalty at the end, and I suspect Tommaso Allan, well, you never know. Well, they're going to go for it, aren't they? They're going to go for touch and have another crack at this England defence. Well, why not? Why not?
Why not indeed? But they did try that, didn't they, at the end of the first half, and gave another try away. The game is well lost. They've done enough. I think they've done enough to prove a few things wrong. They've kept it going. The defence is good. They've tackled their hearts out. And why not give it a go?
7, don't change.
Johan Meyer takes that line-out ball. Good driving ball from Italy. They look like a pretty fit side, the Italians, still going in the 81st minute. Palazzani. Up comes the England defence. This man's looked impressive. Federico Mori, number 23, set up that try for Tommaso Allan with a great busting heavyweight burst through that England defence in the 22. Negri for Palazzani. Here's Rutzer. Palazzani. It's Morley once more in a good position. He's been a handful, but he is eventually dragged away to touch by Henry Slade and others, and the final whistle goes for Mike Adamson here at Twickenham. So a good victory for Eddie Jones after that hugely disappointing defeat to Scotland here at Twickenham. The final score here in this Guinness Six Nations second round match: England 41, Italy 18. Well, Darry Morris, your general summation of that England performance, particularly when you look back to what happened a week ago.
Much, much better. It's just the attitude. We know these guys can play. Unfortunately, they're restricted. They're corralled in the way they attempt to play. So I think Eddie Jones is just, whether he's been bitten by the criticism of ex-players and press, have a go. And you could say, well, it's Italy. I'd like to think it could have been anyone today, because they needed to respond to those criticisms, and they've done it. They've scored some great tries. In the end, it was 59% possession. It was 38% possession last week with no line breaks. They've made 11. They've scored tries. All right, they've leaked a few, but that's part and parcel of the style he plays. So much, much happier. And I think like I said, those scowls from last week against Scotland, the Calcutta Cup, has turned into smiles.
And the Italians?
Look, they were they were better. I was out in Rome. They got handsomely beaten out there, but that's Dupont's magic and Jalibert and Arthur Vincent and all the guys. They know they've got to respond. They know they've got to keep this style. If this is the style they want to play, and this is the only style they can play, they're not going to go back to that old ancient style of arm wrestling. The Italian pack was great, and they could scrummage people. Those days have gone. They've got to build on something, and I think the Six Nations as a whole will back them, and actually they'll be able to develop.
Well, let's hear now from the Guinness Six Nations player of the match, Carl Sinclair. He's down below us, waiting to be spoken to by Martin Bayfield.